Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our preview for The White Lotus, Season 3, Episode 6. We're going to get a chance to see the morning after now. And I feel like after the absolute insanity that was Episode 5, it was all really setting up for, okay, how do these people actually handle some of this now?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that in this preview. This preview was really packed with little bits of fallout. We see the brothers, they're like slapping hands, no shirts. We see a little bit of that fallout with Lori and what's going on there with Jacqueline. And then there is the shot. It is so quick of Victoria sitting there holding this vial that looks like yellow liquid, very tiny. We know that there's these poisonous fruits that are out there, and Tim having this look on his face like it's just been revealed to him that she has been poisoning him.
There's so many, whether they're hints or teases or foreshadowing of dark things to come. Like that's been the case all season, but even in this preview, whether it is the mysterious vial, whether it is we see at another point Tim with his weapon, there's just so much going on here. They want us to be very afraid, especially because Zion is now in Thailand, and we know what that means. It's not that far from where we were at the start of this season.
No, and then there's everything that's going on with Greg. I've been really suspicious sort of all season of how much does Chloe actually know? And for me, this preview makes me feel like she knows a little more than she's been letting on.
But we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we're here through the rest of The White Lotus, and the craziest stuff on this show is still to come. If you've watched it over the years, you know that the finale is when things really get lit. But beyond The White Lotus, The Last of Us is also coming to HBO very, very soon. You know, what do these shows have in common beyond the fact that they both have had Murray Bartlett? They are both excellent, and we are going to be diving headfirst into that when it premieres.
And thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. We've just recently hit a really big goal of 70,000 subscribers here at the channel, so thank you so much. And if you want to support us further, you can join our Patreon. We'll have a link for you below in the description. Over there, we are covering The Pit, which is airing on Max, and we're going to be covering Bosch Legacy. It's in its final season, coming up really soon. And it is the only place that you can get those weekly reviews. So thank you so much to everyone who has.
Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate that.
I want to dive into Victoria. She is one of the absolute best characters on this show. So everybody put on your tinfoil hat.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so we've been talking already throughout this season about the idea that Victoria is the informant, that she is the person who told on Tim and everything that he's doing, that maybe the girl at work was paid by Victoria to be like, well, I don't want to go down with the ship. I don't want to be the informant. So here's a pile of money. Here's the information. Go and blow the whistle on this. And that's what happened. That's what we think happened. I think that it's connected to something that is not this and that we haven't seen it yet, because one of the big themes this season is there's a lot of these older men with younger women. So my theory is that something like that happened back in America, that maybe Tim had an affair with a younger woman. She found out about it, didn't say anything because she didn't want to break up her perfect looking marriage, had people talking about her, and in that way that she was waiting for the exact right time to make it only about him, where she's not as embarrassed because it's not an affair. She's being cheated on with someone who's much younger and feels badly about it. That it's about Tim. Tim has done this terrible thing and it's all about Tim. And she just didn't know. And that way it doesn't fall back on her or the kid. So that's been our theory, is that she is the person behind the informant. Could it get darker? Because they brought up this fruit at the beginning of the season where it's like, oh yeah, don't eat that. It's poisonous. This yellow fruit that's all over the place. Why would they bring it up if it's not going to come back later in some kind of way? Now, I am not saying that Victoria is Walter White and she's in the bathroom concocting pulling the poison out of this fruit or squishing it up in the blender or whatever. I'm not saying that that's what she's doing. but she is rich enough to be able to buy this. And here they are in Thailand where there's a lot of shady things going on at the White Lotus. Greg is here. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on. Could she purchase something like this? Yes, she has the money. I feel like whatever she would want to be able to get, she would be able to find.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different thoughts that entered my mind when it comes to this vial. And, one of them is definitely stemming from everything you're talking about here. But I'm just going to play a what if game with everyone for a moment here. Because what if Victoria ends up seeing the gun at some part of the villa? And because it's not a small thing, it's something that's not all that easy to hide. Maybe she sees it, then maybe she thinks that Tim knows that she's being an informant, and then she's just like, oh, he's trying to kill me. And then she's gonna go, because we already know, we see it in the preview, the monk is talking, so I think it's fair to assume that they're all going on this excursion so that Tim can have an old talking to from this monk at the monastery that Piper has decided is perfect for her, even though she spent all of 5 seconds there. But they're already going to be out. So there's that opportunity. The only other thing I was thinking about is that if this isn't poison fruit, which I think it's a lot more fun if it is, like, let's be totally honest here. The only other thing I thought about is just that, oh, my medication's gone. This is a replacement. And it's just like some sort of substitute for that, but it's just also, you said it. They set up the fruit at the start of the season. It's like, if you guys don't circle back to that, I'm going to be very disappointed. Like, this is different than the monkeys. We can have a million theories about the monkeys, but monkeys are everywhere in this part of Thailand. Like, that's something they kind of have to show. They don't have to talk about the fruit.
No, they don't have to talk about the fruit. It's very possible that it is a replacement for her medication, because I was kind of wondering how that was going to play out. Her entire medication got taken by Tim.
Yeah.
So if she's been on this medication for a while, that there was going to be fallout for her, that this is not there to help her anymore, and she is going to need some sort of replacement. It's very possible that that is all that is. It could even be a little vial of perfume, and they're just like, let's put this in the trailer to make it look like something shady's going on. It could be anything, but poison is the most exciting option.
It is by far the most exciting option. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could think of with this medication is I'm just sitting back and being like, where are the withdrawals? Like, what's going on here? And I say this as somebody who struggled with depression and has taken medication for it. If I miss a day, even just a day, I become a crazy insomniac who is just like throwing my bed sheets and other parts of my place thinking it's going to help me sleep better. And it's just like your mind goes crazy. And it's a little bit crazy with Victoria, but the problem is Victoria is always a little bit crazy. It's just, I have not seen anything that signals that she is struggling without having it at this point.
Yeah, and it does seem like she's on a lot of different medications.
Yeah.
And when they're all being balanced out, it seems like it is helping her, right? That's what medication is for. But if it's not the right dosage, or one of them is missing, that might be helping another one. Yeah, where is the fallout for that? Is it just not enough time has passed? By this next day, I'm kind of expecting there to be something starting to happen.
Okay, we're going to move into Greg and Chloe and what's going on here, because there's a couple of different possibilities that we can raise. Here's what we see. We see Greg and Chloe talking, and I'm presuming that this is at Greg's big ol' rich, I killed my wife and bought this place estate. And he makes it very, very clear to her that, okay, I need your help with something. And so I think the question here becomes, okay, does he need her help with something related to Belinda, or has he just magically found out about her wild night with Saxon and Lucky and Chelsea, and it's related to that?
Yeah, I think tinfoil hat is still on here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I think that she knows more than she's letting on. I mean, we've kind of seen her drop little hints, but this last episode where she was basically like, oh, I think Greg would kill me, I was just like, I think you know what is going on. That not that Greg is come and confided in you. I don't think that at all. I think she's a young person who's like, oh, I'm with this, older rich guy. I'm just going to Google it, because Belinda found out very quickly by Googling it that maybe she just got enough information that she was like, I'm going to Google this, or she came across something where she's like, I'm just going to see what I can find out. Saw this, the mysterious circumstances, Tanya, the husband, that it's him. And she was like, I'm fine with this. You know what? I'm fine with this. We don't know for sure. So you know what? I'll just file that away, and I will continue having a really fun time with my new rich boyfriend. It'll be cool. But because she's been bringing this up, and now we see in the trailer where he's come up to her and is like, listen, I need to deal with something and I need your help with it. The look on her face felt very much like this isn't the first time that she's kind of done some shady stuff for him, and that she does know about this, even though they don't know that the other person knows. I think that the whole Saxon of it is just that he might be part of a bigger plan with this, because it doesn't feel like she's there to like be a good person and warn him that, Greg knows. It feels like it's all part of this plan to get to Belinda.
Yeah, I don't think Chloe has that much deep-seated affection for Lucky or Saxon or
No.
anything else. Like, she went into this relationship with Greg/Gary probably operating from a mindset of, you know what? I'm not going to ask a lot of questions because I kind of know the world that this guy is from. I know the world that maybe I've been a part of, and I just know that there might be some dark stuff in the past, but that doesn't necessarily have to affect me. I just have to be aware. I have to do whatever research I can to make sure my own way of life is being preserved. I mean, presumably the reason Chloe entered this relationship is because money, and also potentially the opportunity to escape whatever was happening to her before, which we don't really know. But it just felt like there's some sort of benefit she's clearly getting from this relationship. And I think at the very least, like, she can decide to do whatever she wants to do in private, separate from Greg, but she needs to make sure that Greg thinks that she is fully on her side. And that may mean sort of coaxing along Saxon or some other people to go along with the plan. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Greg's obviously going to be upset if he learns the full extent of everything that happened with Chloe and the brothers and Chelsea. But the real danger to him is Belinda. That's like, okay, this person knows who I am. She might be able to connect the dots. Like, I still have a hard time thinking Belinda's actually going to be able to do anything to get him arrested with how much she knows. But he still probably doesn't like it.
No, he doesn't like it. And I don't think that he's going to kill her or anything at this point. I just think that he's going to try to get her fired, get her removed from the resort, whatever it is. And that maybe this is going to be how Chloe's able to help. That maybe it's going to be sort of like start planting some seeds with Saxon, who will tell somebody else, who will end up getting Belinda removed.
Yeah, I think the very sad reality of this, and this is why it makes me even more angry at Tanya beyond the grave for taking advantage of Belinda and getting her hopes up, is just that if you're an employee at one of these resorts, you're really just kind of stuck. It's like, yeah, you have a job, but you're completely at the mercy of what the people, the clientele, want to do. And we've already seen what Fabian's priority here is. It's just like, oh, I'll overlook all this stuff as long as they're paying customers and as long as they come and make this resort worthwhile. And if the clientele have problems with one of the employees, then it's a really big problem. And then we can fire you. And then we're not going to do any research at all because it's the customer is always right.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about Rick, and we're going to see Sam Rockwell back as Frank. So we see very quickly them sitting down where Rick is just like, Frank, I just need to meet Jim. I just need to meet him. That's all I need. Is it possible that that is where Rick is going to actually go with this? I think it is. If we can get one more big Frank reveal of trying to be like, yeah, if you just give this up, you give this path up of revenge or whatever you're on, maybe you can get to where I am, where I feel a lot better after letting this stuff go. You might also feel better. I think he might be able to get him there, but it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Like, I'm pretty worried of where all of this is obviously going to go, because it feels like Frank and Rick have enough of a relationship that if Rick decides, okay, you know what, I want to continue to do this gambit to try to get to Jim, where, we already saw in the past, he's tried to go to Sweet Tall and basically been like, I'm a talent agent. He might be using, I don't know if he's a talent agent, but he might be saying to Frank, it's like, okay, Frank, I need you to go along with this. Say you're in the industry or whatever else. My big concern with Frank is just that nothing you do the rest of the season is going to top that 5-minute monologue you gave. Plus, also, I have already seen 20 memes of Walton Goggins' facial reaction to that. That's going to be around there for a while. I think that we're going to have a face-to-face confrontation at some point with Rick and Jim. Like, I don't want it. I want Rick to walk away, but I just don't think. I think he has a chance that he's going to do it, but I don't think he's going to do it before that confrontation happens. And I say that with deep regret and sadness.
Yeah, I am still of the mindset that Rick is not making it out of this season alive. Whether it's with Jim killing him as well, you're going to confront a murderer. So you're going to go to them and be like, you murdered my dad. And then they're going to be like, okay, this person knows this, so that's a problem. Now you're a problem. Like, he really hasn't thought this through very well.
No. And speaking of people who did not think things through very well, Saxon. Okay, so the synopsis for this episode basically suggests that he is going to be struggling a lot trying to forget or push out of his mind what happened the night before, right? First and foremost, we just need to post this question. How far did all of this go? Was this a situation where the kiss happened and then Saxon all of a sudden wakes up and is just like, whoa, 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 whoa? Because it feels to me, at least, that this is one of those guys that talks a really, really big game. But then once it actually gets to the real situation, like, he's in way over his head at this point. This is not what Saxon was setting up to try to do at all.
Especially since he said that, drugs are not his thing. He doesn't do that. He's doing something that he normally never does. So he doesn't have really that kind of experience with it. He's in a strange situation with, people he doesn't really know besides his brother. I think, and I mean, we've been talking about this all season, the idea that Locke is really the person who's struggling with, am I maybe into men? And I'm unable to talk about it or figure it out because I'm in this family. That maybe it's going to turn out that it's Saxon and that either it's both of them or possibly just Saxon that ends up at the end of this experience where he's like, okay, maybe it's me that's on this road. Maybe I'm not interested in men. Maybe I'm interested in both. Maybe it's different than I thought.
I think they're going to be asking themselves some pretty big questions once they have some of their faculties fully back. I would be surprised if it goes a lot further than what we saw in the episode. Like, I will say that. Just Chelsea's face after the two of them kissed made me feel like, okay, she's for sure going to back out of this situation at this point.
I felt like she was going to pull the chute on that for sure. Like, her face just looked like she didn't want any part of that anymore. But we did see in the trailer, it looks like both of the brothers, no shirts, slapping hands, and they look like they are in a bedroom. So I think it's gone further, but I don't know where it's gone.
I am terrified. There's a lot there that I do not know, that I do not want to think about.
Okay, let's talk about our trio of friends. Are they going to be friends anymore? Because there's a very sad dynamic that's going on between Lori and Jacqueline, where Jacqueline feels almost like she's keeping Lori around because she's like, oh, the friend that couldn't make her marriage work, the friend that's doing a little bit worse than her, the friend that's looking a little older than her to make herself feel better. This episode that just passed just pulled the curtains back on that of how much Jackie wants to feel young and desired and famous and rich and just all these things. So is that part of why she is keeping this friendship with Lori around, where she's gassing her up? Oh yeah, Valentine and everything that's going on with him. Oh, you should get with him. That's been going on for days. And then for her to bring him in and take him for herself, I am not surprised. And I don't know why Kate is surprised that Lori is antagonizing Jackie throughout this next episode, because Kate's like, why are you antagonizing her? Oh, I'm not. It's whatever. And it's just good for you. Poke back.
the reality here is it's going to come out what Jacqueline and Valentine did. Like that's feels inevitable to me, especially because I think that one of the big motives Jacqueline had in all of this is that she wants it to come out because this is a power move. This is her being like, you know, I'm the one who can take things that you want, Lori. And in order for her to reinforce that, the truth has to be eventually revealed. Now, I don't know how exactly it's going to be revealed, whether she just slips it into a conversation, whether she makes sure that Valentine leaves the villa at a time when she knows Lori is awake, so it's kind of passive aggressive, and at the same time, it doesn't look like she's rubbing it in her face, when in reality, it is rubbing it in her face. It's just, I'm not surprised we're already at this point, and everything is just going to blow up with these three before the end of the season because every single one of them now has a conflict with the other.
Yeah, Jacqueline doesn't want to come across looking like the bad guy. So I think she's going to set it up in a way that it comes out naturally, where she's like, oh man, you know, we were really vibing and I didn't want to hurt your feelings. So like, I thought that this could be on the down low. Like I wasn't thinking, I was drinking, like all these things were happening. I didn't do it on purpose, but really inside she's just like, yeah, I'm more desirable than you. I got what I wanted. You couldn't land him. I could. It's just disgusting behavior. You don't treat your friends like that. That's just rotten.
You are a bad friend, Jackie. That's right.
Yes.
You have to deal with the ramifications of what it is you're doing, and I think she will by the end of this season. But clearly, there's a lot to be excited about entering episode 6. There are 3 episodes left. I think it's fair to assume the big craziness from the premiere is probably going to be in the finale, unless Mike White decides to do something super crazy here. But for now, give us your predictions on The White Lotus Season 3, Episode 6. What character are you the most worried about at this point? Do you think that Victoria has got herself some fruit poison? Let us know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button and support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering there exclusively in video form, The Pit, Bosch Legacy. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next time.